Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Mo, where authenticity lives and thrives to create a space of growth, healing, and joy. I am your host, Andrea Lawful Sanders, and each day we will cover the topics that are informative and engaging while learning from each other. Good morning, Laura, Sharon, and Bobby. I see all of you. Good morning, Sharon, Charmaine Braxton. I see you all. Good morning, Winnie. Good morning. Sometimes I see your messages in the moment while I'm on the air because I'm broadcasting live from three different places. And sometimes I see them afterwards. But just know I appreciate you all being here. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, so that you can always see the live updates that are coming and what we're doing every morning. Good morning, Monica. I have a meeting today, Laura. Laura pegged it. She says, "Where are you going looking business like this morning?" I have a meeting today that I have to go to. Good morning, Winetta. So just, appreciate all of you. Thank you all for being here with me. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, particularly on the YouTube channel. I am weaning my way off of Facebook. I've been giving you guys an opportunity to do what needs to be done. And I'm not just only on YouTube, I am on Riverside Live. So should all the other streams shut down, you can still have access to me. So that's how we're working it out. Good morning, Katie. Good morning. Happy Monday to all of you. It is 46 degrees outside and it's going up to 64 degrees today. I'm going to do my morning motivation, but I'm starting it this way, the show this way, because I want you all to know everything doesn't have to become a crisis. Everything doesn't have to become a major blowout because your feelings have been hurt, etc. It's part of the reason why we're sitting in a war right now that is untenable and is causing us so many issues. Let me start here. So I'm going to do my morning motivation, and you'll understand as I get into my conversation with David Alexander Jenkins about why we are where we are. I have a story. I went to an event 3 years ago, three years ago now, and as I sat at a table with a friend just having a good time, a woman walked up to my back and said, "You are sitting in my seat, and but I will go to another part of the table." Thank you. Um, the woman sitting beside me asked if I was a member of such and such board because she thought I should not be there. I explained I was told to sit there and she left me alone. I looked at my friend, said I was moving to another table. This friend happened to be Cherry Gregg. So she will corroborate everything I'm saying to you. I looked at my friend and said I was moving to another table, and we picked up our stuff and moved because we wanted to maintain the positive energies flowing in the room and remain drama free. Hold on, there's more. The woman who was clearly the head of that table looked at me puzzled and asked why was I moving. I quietly and gently explained what happened and said we moved to keep the peace because it's a beautiful time, etc. Well, there we were in the line getting our meals when the sister who made me get up ran over and apologized profusely. The head of the table let her have it, told her to apologize and get me back to the table where I belonged. I accepted the apology, told her we were okay where we were sitting now, and she hugged me apologetically again. Let me tell you, for the rest of the event, she went and got some fish for us so we did not have to enter another line, asked what else did we need, and helped me with whatever I wanted for the entire event. My friend, Cherry, looked at me with a smile and said, "You know, Andrea, it's good to speak up." Yup, I had no art. The sister, uh, uh, I had no art. The sister appreciated it, and we were okay. With communication, all things are possible. Forgive easily. We all make mistakes. All of us. We have no time right now to hold space in our bodies for anger and strife. We need each other. Good morning. Good morning, Dennis. I see all of you. Good morning. So please understand, as David and I get into the conversation about Iraq and what's happening with the stock market and all the other things that are going on, sometimes people will rub us the wrong way. It was a beautiful event. It was Don Chavou's Women Her Story event. I got invited 2 years in a row. Just really enjoyed it. Black women, were there white women in the room? I can't remember. Probably were all over the place. Just some all walks of life, and we were all sitting there enjoying ourselves and having a good time. And Cherry and I got honored that year. Neither one of us knew because Dawn never tells us, who's getting awarded. I was just grateful to sit among women and positive energy. So when this happened, I was like, you know what? Nope, it's good. We're going to be all right. We're just going to move. And folks, this is my table. I don't own a diggity dang thing. I don't own anything. So if someone wants me to move, I'm going to move. It's okay. It's absolutely okay. Right. So there we are. Let me just make sure. Can you all see me? I just want to make sure you guys can see me and hear me. We learn to talk. Stephen Hawkins. Good morning, Dennis. Yes, yes. Yes, 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 Monica. Joy and peace prevailed, and we did that purposefully. I just want to make sure. I'm not sure if you all can see me. I want to make sure because this is looking. Uh, this is looking a little interesting here, but it could be the internet. Anyway, David is going to come on. We're going to talk. Okay, good. You all can. All right, good. All right. Okay. Morpho's okay. This is good. I also want to let you know that after my first week, last week of running the show 5 days a week, I am going to be on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday until further notice. I just need to get stronger. And as I was doing a deep dive into Iran all day as I was cooking, I do my meal prep because I have to. The food out here is just not the best, and they're cooking the food in things that I can't eat. So vegetable oil and corn oil and cheaper things to make the food, but I need to be healthier. So we're good. So I was doing meal prep and I was doing a deep dive into what was going on in Iraq. I realized the ramification of what this kind of research and this work does to the body. I watched an episode of Don Lemon's show, and Don Acosta, Joy Reid, all the people who were independent journalists who had left the different stations talked about how tired they all were and how this was really trying on their souls. And so I don't want to be in that spot anymore. It damn near killed me. And so I'm really, pulling myself together. I'll do the Love Is segment on another day, on a Wednesday. Well, I'll run longer on the days that I run, but I really do need 2 days off. But we have to figure out the tempers are really flaring, and we have got to figure out another way to do this so that we're not always tearing each other apart, because it's not easy. Absolutely not easy. Let me let David know I'm ready for him. He's probably trying to oh Lord, I'm so crazy this morning. And then my other issue, y'all, is that these clothes are not fitting, but we're gonna work it out. We figured it out. Laura says, I totally agree with your new schedule. You need to stay, as Marguerite has said in the past. Absolutely. Thank you for understanding, Viola. I do appreciate it. Joanne Kemp says, not the same thing, but I was on a SEPTA bus, and a man got on and said I was in his seat. I did get up and move. That was easier than deal with his apparent mental health issues. Right. So, don't fight when you can tell that there's an issue. Don't sit around and fight fire with fire. Just do what you need to do. Thank you, ECBSD6. She says Friday's show was fantastic. Yeah, my husband was like, it was great. It was great. But I think my husband is, biased. Oh, thank you. Thank you all so much. And as I get stronger and I learn how to navigate, I'm in therapy and, I'm in therapy and going through all the stuff just to make sure we can do what we need to do. I don't know if David is awake, y'all. I do not know if David is awake. So I'm going to cover as much as I can. So there's a couple of things happening here. The news media that we have been accustomed to listening to, CBS and CNN, they're all being gobbled up by the one person or two people. And the news is starting to look slanted in a way, almost like we're watching versions of Fox journalists who have been at this work for 20, 30 years have quit and have become independent of these news stations, and they're all on YouTube. All of us are on YouTube. I felt like I moved at the right time. And the thing that they said the most that clicked with me was they didn't have anybody calling them going, maybe you shouldn't have said that because we're going to lose our sponsorships. They didn't feel bogged down and tied down. But the other beautiful thing is people are moving away from these stations, these news stations, and are coming over to where we are on YouTube. Someone asked Don Lemon, what would you do if these same people came and take over YouTube? And he said what I said, move to a different platform. You know, the independent journalists right now, we're like the wild, wild west because we're able to talk about the things that matter to all of you, and we're giving it to you as we see it happening live. There's a concern in around the world that, and the Ellison family, yes, Ellison family. Good morning, Jasenia. There's a concern around the world that the president of the United States is not getting the real tea around what's really happening in Iran. He keeps thinking we're bombing the hell out of them. This is what's going to happen. I mean, I've watched so many things. I did so many deep dives, and I was like, oh my God, he literally have people around him telling him this is working when it really, truly isn't. And we are in a predicament. So Iran understood that their navy and their was not as strong. Thank you, Dennis. Was not as strong, so they knew they were going to be attacked. They've been waiting on this for years because the last 47 years, you heard me talk with my guest Atisa on Friday, and she's from Iran. And she talked about the fact that, you know, the people in Iran want something better, want something different. But I also listened to Anna Ampor, who was in a conversation yesterday and said the exiles, those who have left Iran and are living in other places around the world, feel very differently from the people who are actually living in Iran and are recognizing that while there's evilness happening and they feel restricted and constricted, that they don't trust the United States either. Right, in the United States and Israel, and what that looks like. What is that coming to for them? They don't feel like if they come in and take over, that they would actually get a great deal, that they would be treated well. And as ECBST said, Iran is 4 times the size of Iraq and had been ready for this for a long, long time. So what we're seeing now, because I've been following different places like Al Jazeera, BBC News, very difficult to follow the news in the United States now because you can tell they're all saying the same thing and not really covering it as they should or as they want to because there are constrictions and constraints on them. The when you go into Google and ask about the Iranian war, guess what comes up first? CBS and CNN. So they even played around with the metrics. You got to go down the line. You have to deliberately choose to not watch or, you know, follow the links because CBS has lost so much viewerships. CNN is also going down the tank. And so we have to be, you know, are very aware of what's happening around us. The stock market dropped. Whew, I had to write this down. And everybody who has been in the stock market has felt this. This has been reported. Let me go over here and find this for you. Hold on. Because I take notes. In the last 32 days, the stock market lost $4.8 trillion. $4.8 trillion. And as of Friday, it's the lowest it has been in 230 days. The stock market is giving us the warning signal that something is incredibly off. Incredibly off. And they understand that what the president of the United States and his people in the Department of War are not saying is that they cannot get out of this war that they've got themselves into. Iran has 25,000 drones and they just hit a desalination plant. They said that we're going to do this. They said, we're not fighting this war the way you want us to fight it. We're literally going to be knocking out the places where you have troops, the places where, you know, in the Strait of Hormuz. They said this. It was reported that someone in the White House and the folks in the White House are leaking. right? They won't, Don Lemon and group are getting people to talk to them. And they're out of the White House saying they told the president, one man told the president, he said, listen, if you do this, the first thing they're going to do is close the Strait of Hormuz, where we all need the goods and services that are coming through there. And he's going to cripple the world. We are feeling it in so many different ways. And so for the average American, it's the gas tank, it's the cost of food, it's the farmers not being able to get the fertilizers, the things to make the fertilizers for their planting season right now. If you all thought you have felt something before, you have seen nothing yet. And so while so many are very concerned about what's happening, the Israeli prime minister is now also attacking Lebanon. If you follow the history, and they talked about this too. Anna Amanpour said that Israel was bringing war crimes against Netanyahu when all this stuff started to happen with Hamas. He has said publicly that they want to take over the whole Middle East. They want to take Iran, Iraq, and I'm not sure if they were absolutely prepared. And Israel has some of the Israeli Defense Force has some of the most sophisticated technology, and still, along with the United States, the Iranians, the Iranian regime says, we're not going to do this. So this is not going to end. While the president is getting bored and would like to end this war immediately, it's not ending that way. Iranians, it is reported, have long memories. They can wait years. They will wait months. They have sleeper cells. It's a lot. It's a lot. And so what does that mean for us? How do we sit in all of this? That means David and I have said this 1,000 times, prepare yourselves. They just attacked a Kuwaiti desalination plant. So in the Middle East, they don't have fresh water like we do, like here in the United States. So they have to get up a plant that will remove the salt from the water so people can drink. They are an Iranian. So this was written by Al Jazeera. On March 30th, this morning, we're hearing this. An Iranian attack on a power and water desalination plant in Kuwait has killed one Indian worker and damaged a building at the site, according to Kuwaiti authorities, as regional tensions heightened amid the United States-Israeli war on Iran. A service building at a power and water desalination plant was attacked as part of the Iranian aggression against the state of Kuwait, resulting in the death of an Indian worker and significant material damage to the building, Kuwaiti's Ministry of Electricity said in a statement this morning, because they're hours ahead of us. Iran is sending drones and missiles to different parts around the Middle East, crippling the things that matter the most to them, along with keeping the Strait of Hormuz closed. And the people who live in North Tehran, they're just upper middle class people, said that they're being bombed, and now they're angry with the United States and Israel. It's a lot. You don't just walk into something and think you can, tell people what to do. This is not Venezuela. It is not Venezuela, not by a long shot. And I'm not sure how long we're going to be able to navigate and go through this the way we have. Laura says 47 is controlling the narrative by making announcements that caused the markets to react. Someone became $600 million richer last week before 47 made an announcement concerning oil. Yeah, that's the other thing. They're talking about insider trading. It is insane what is going on out here. Insane. So what are your plans? What are your immediate plans? I have asked you all to think this thing through. It's not going to just go away. In fact, all the pundits, Joanne Reed, they're all saying, and Roland Martin, all of them are saying this thing is going to get way worse before it gets better. And we're accustomed to a certain level of comfort in this country. Like I saw someone posting that they had to put the toilet paper in the trash can and not in the toilet. Like we've been doing that for decades. Some stuff, but not here in Philadelphia. Why would we have to do that? Water that we think is so easily is so readily easy and available for us to drink is going to be a problem. Even the air that we breathe. You see, war is fought very differently. They're not dropping bombs on you. They're putting things in the air, in the water. They're messing with your electrical grid. Are you ready? Are you ready? And I have got to say this to each and every one of you. If you're going to do this alone, I got mine, you figure out yours, blah, 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 blah. Where is your tribe? Years from now, you're all going to go, Andrea said this to you. Where is your tribe? How are you navigating through all of this? What does it look like for you? What does it look like? So in our house, my husband and I, we've cut back on a lot of things, not because we need to in the moment. We're literally cutting back so that when the things start to get truly tight, we've already been living in that space. That's where we are. We talked about I have an event to go to this morning, and that's like this is an example, babe. If I take Uber in town, I don't have to pay for the $40 of parking, or what do I do? And he says, well, if the Uber is $40 to go in, it's going to be $40 to come back plus the tip. If parking is $40, you're just going to pay for the that's how we're talking in my house right now. The things that we wouldn't even give a second thought. We are literally thinking, okay, how do we navigate through all of this? uh Yeah. Laura says Joyanne Reed has great and credible guests on her show. She goes deep, but she has been at this for a while, and she said the MSNBC where she was, they kept saying, your people are just keep thinking we're all a bunch of liberals because people had been conditioned into believing that this was all much ado about nothing. And you're watching this. The Fed chair is about to come on at some point this morning to talk about what do we do? How do we do this? What does it look like? Because inflation is going up. If gas is $5 a gallon now, and that doesn't include the tankers bringing the food or whatever to us from China, wherever, the truckers driving the stuff across the country from several parts, the planters not being able to plant or summer food. For those of you, we've been saying for years, plant in your little gardens, plant your little tomatoes, plant your cucumbers, share with your other folks around you, and then eat to thrive, eat to live. The let me just go on and say the Jamaican diet is filled with carbs. There was a new report that came out that says more than half of Jamaicans are diabetic. The plantain, the yam, the banana, the fried dumplings, the I make things with gravy, but they're water based. So there's no oil in my gravies. There's no, if I'm making something, I sear it, pour out the oil, and then I cook. And I use a particular kind of oil if I'm going to do that. All those things make a difference. When this stuff happens and you can't figure out how to navigate, thrive, and survive. I was telling Joanne, I have 3 cinder blocks that turns into a stove. 3 cinder blocks, and it's a stove. It's a stove that I can put a pot on. I can use twigs and leaves, 1 or 2 charcoal briquettes. We've got to figure out how to navigate through these things. Do you know how to take a bird bath if you don't have enough water to stand in the shower for 20 minutes or more? What does that look like? We've been advising you to stop traveling, y'all. Just be very mindful. Go where you absolutely need to go. I'm not saying don't have a vacation. That is not what I'm saying to you. But the world is in turmoil right now, and you don't know what is waiting for you. The airports are in chaos. Even though they recently passed a bill to pay the TSA workers, you see what can happen. One thing can lead a chain reaction to so many other things. And in our Project 2025, they talked about getting rid of TSA workers so that ICE could manage, the people that they wanted to, go through all our stuff. Y'all, everything is connected in one way or another. One way or another. And the price that journalists have paid is that they've been fired, they've been pushed out, and they've decided to start their own thing. All of them are doing independent media. I'm a part of that now, just independently having these conversations with you. But I need you all to focus on what's happening in your immediate circles. How are you doing this? How are you doing this? Uh, Laura says, I want to plant some veggies. Keep us posted on when you start your garden. So my garden will be started in another week or so. I have been, I'm going to need help with my bags of soil, but if you want to come, I have a whole garden that I started it in my backyard last year, and I've learned some things. I reaped sugar snap peas, reaped a corn, reaped, tomatoes. The only thing I couldn't get out of my garden was watermelon, but I figured out how to do that differently this year. But my son, who I gave watermelons to and watermelon seeds, reaped about 15 watermelons out of his garden. So we have to get out of the space where we think we can just go to the store and buy everything. Dry milk? Dry milk is something that you should have in your house. You just add water to it and you mix it up. Uh, cans and cans of it need to be sitting in your house, and don't buy enough so that you can't figure out, nobody else can get anything, but learn how to navigate in a way that you know that if you don't have this, you have that. Canned goods, we've talked about the canned goods ad nauseum. The if we have no electricity, then the food in the freezer is not going to last. Have you learned how to salt your meat in a way so that you can boil the water, the salt out of it and cook? There you go. EC said powdered milk right on the shelf now. All the things that you don't think about. Do you have gas masks? By the time you figure out to buy these things, they will be so expensive you can't afford to buy them. So all those things matter. All those things matter. And so I don't know what else to tell you all. It's been crazy. I am going to cover, yes, something's going on with David. David probably fell asleep. And if he awakens in the next 20 minutes or so, because he's awake at the craziest hours of the night. Shaquilla, good morning, darling. Good morning. And be prepared for your family to live with you. Again, another thing, we're so selfish. You're living in a 4,000 square bedroom, 4,000 square foot house. I don't want anybody living with me. Nobody, they're going to sleep on my carpet. You all have to get outside your myopic thinking, please and thank you. Please and thank you. What does that look like? What does that look like? And can you thrive without meat? Dr. Archima said to me, because they follow what I eat, and she says, I love that you love cabbage. Child, you can take cabbage and do anything with it. Put some fish in it. You can eat it by itself. It's so good. Find the vegetable that you love. Stick with that. The grains, the white rice, and all those other things. As we get older, but even as we're not older, younger people are dying of diabetic shocks and strokes and heart attacks. Hard. Stress is something that we have to try and manage and navigate. Not easy to do. Not. My husband looks at me and go, "Are you stressing?" No, sir. I'm not stressing. We're going to figure this out. My coloring book is now full. I got to get another coloring book, because every time something starts to get insane, or as I'm watching and listening to what's going on from news sources that I trust and protect, I am coloring. Like you, this is not, I'm not going to sleep with this on my heart. I cannot do this. It is difficult to cover this stuff and not be impacted by it. So let me go on over here and do a little bit of news. The No Kings rally. Let's talk a little bit about that. Thousands of demonstrators filled the Benjamin Franklin Parkway on Saturday for a nationwide protest dubbed No King's Day, aimed at expressing opposition to the Trump administration. Drums echoed throughout the crowd as marchers moved through Center City, carrying signs and waving flags. Organizers said the event was one of more than 3,000 coordinated demonstrations held across cities, towns, and rural communities. Tim Johnson of West Philadelphia said the gathering was meant to remind people they are not alone. People feel isolated and powerless, and when we come together like this, we show that we're not alone, and together we can overcome it, he said. That was 6abc.com. I've also expressly asked that nothing from CNN or CBS hits my news feed. I don't want to see it. Don't put it in my thing, because I'm not reading it. Huge crowds of protesters took to the streets in more than 3,000 cities and towns across the country Saturday to again call out President Donald Trump and his policies, with organizers saying that this one could be the biggest so far. No King's protests are the latest since October, and organizers said they're looking to send a message addressing what they call the constant chaos of Trump administration. Since then, organizers said later in the day that an estimated 8 million people took part in the demonstrations, from the use of federal troops for immigration enforcement to the killing of Renee Good and Alex Preddy by federal law enforcement in Minneapolis to Trump's war with Iran. Members of the National No Kings Coalition said Americans raised their voices in protest. And as you are raising your voices, I hope you're picking up the phone and calling your people, your senators, your Congress folks, to make sure that this is what's happening. And that was abcnews.com again. Sorry. Authorities in Los Angeles deployed tear gas near a federal detention center and made dozens of arrests following one of thousands of No Kings rallies held this weekend across the United States and in Europe to protest President Donald Trump's actions and the war in Iran. Los Angeles police said Sunday that 74 people were arrested for failing to heed a dispersal order that was given after Sunday's rally ended. One other person was taken into custody on suspicion of possession of a weapon that police described as a dagger. The arrests stood out from what otherwise were mostly peaceful protests. Organizers said that there were more than 3,100 events registered in all 50 U.S. states. That was the Associated Press news. The border czar, Tom Homan, said Sunday that immigration and customs enforcement agents would remain at airports until TSA officers are able to resume normal operations. We are going to continue ICE presence there and until the airports feel like they are 100%, in a posture where they can do normal operations, Homan said in an interview on CBS News. Face the nation. So if less TSA agents come back, that means we'll keep ICE agents there. Remember what I just told you about what they wrote in Project 2025 about getting rid of the TSA agents, and making sure that ICE is there in the airports. Um, that was written by NBC News. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. Because I'm going to need him to go away. No, I don't mean that. I do not mean that. Senator Cory Booker, Democrat, New Jersey, on Sunday said he's not ruling out the prospect of running for president in 2028, but said that he is focused on running for re-election to the Senate this year. Asked whether he'd be open to running for president, Booker told NBC News Meet the Press that he is definitely not ruling it out, but I'm running for re-election. I hope New Jersey will support me for another 6 years. Yeah. And the partridge is in a pear tree. That was NBCPhiladelphia.com. Tiger Woods has been arrested and charged with driving under the influence following a rollover crash in Jupiter Island, Florida on Friday afternoon, the Martin County Sheriff's Office said. Investigators said the crash happened before 2 p.m. in the 280 block of South Beach Road when a truck pulling a small pressure cleaning trailer was traveling north and slowing to turn into a driveway. That's when a Land Rover driven by Woods approached from behind at a high rate speed, the sheriff's office said. The Land Rover attempted to pass the truck but clipped the back of the trailer, according to authorities. The impact caused the SUV to tip on the driver's side and slide along the road before coming to a stop. Woods was able to exit the vehicle through the passenger side, authorities said. I've seen a lot of people, that was ABC News, talking about this on social media, that he has all this money. Why doesn't he have a driver? He has been allegedly, it's been allegedly said that he is not an alcoholic, but a substance abuse user. So whatever his substance of choice is, we don't know. And so all I'm going to say for you is pray for the brother. Just pray for the brother, because we don't know what demons he is dealing with emotionally. You can have all the money in the world. He's worth almost $1 billion. I keep telling you, money solves nothing, right? It truly does not. It is how you live, how you treat those around you, being able to develop the kinds of relationships that are fulfilling and heartwarming. We are not islands, people. We need folks around us. We need to have authentic relationships. It matters. It absolutely matters. In a moment that could take on new significance almost 150 years later, Omaha election official Charles Wilkins on April 5th, 1880, refused to register John Elk to vote on the grounds that he was a Native American and therefore not an American citizen. Elk, believed to have been a member of what is now known as the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska, objected, saying he had severed all ties with his tribe and had willingly subjected himself to the authority of the United States. He launched a legal challenge, arguing, among other things, that he was a citizen at birth because he was born within United States territory. But the Supreme Court, in the 1884 case called Elk v. Wilkins, ruled against him, saying that the Native American born within the territory of the United States did not have birthright citizenship. They had the same status as the children of subjects of any foreign government born within the domain of that government, the court says. So, looking to limit birthright citizen, President Donald Trump turns to this 1884 Supreme Court ruling against a Native American man. So he's still pushing this, right? This is abcnews.com. So pay attention to this. The United States Senate unanimously approved a deal to fund the Department of Homeland Security and won't include funding for immigration enforcement and deportation operations amid an ongoing partial shutdown, NBC News reports. The package was approved on Friday, March 27th at 2:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time during a voice vote that followed a marathon session, as well as President Donald Trump announced he'll sign an executive order telling new Secretary of Homeland Security Mark Wayne Mullen to restart pay for Transportation Security Administration officers and the ongoing partial shutdown. Whew. My Lord, on today. This is iHeart.com that wrote this piece. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. It's a lot. She says, can't believe he has not learned his lessons yet. Good morning, Carlene. Monica says, I love cabbage, but it doesn't love me back. Put a touch of vinegar in it, Monica. Put a touch of vinegar in it. It'll stop your guts from bubbling. Yes, easy. Yes, make sure you have a first aid kit, which includes a stethoscope, a BP monitor, etc., etc. Yes, yeah, the basic stuff should be in that kit. Absolutely. I don't. Let me see what else is happening here. Good morning, Carlene. There he is. Oh, David says everything is down. What does that mean? Wow. He says everything is down. Viola says, hold on. Viola says, yep. Oh, Lord. I knew David wasn't sleeping. Something is going on. Can't believe he has not learned his lesson yet. Oh, he says it's electricity, internet, and phone. He's trying to sign in now. Lord, in his apartment, everything was down. That's all right. I'll stay on for you, David, because, we all love us some David Alexander Jenkins. Viola says, I eat red cabbage, and I can't eat the red cabbage. I don't like it at all, so I stay away from it. I use avocado oil spray. So I spray a little bit of avocado oil spray in the bottom. That keeps me from, he has no electricity, internet, he doesn't. So he said he's trying to signing now. So let's see where he can find a space to get in. This is what happens when you do live broadcasts. These kinds of things take place. But you always want to be able to move. If these things happen, you can't just fall apart and say, oh my God, he's not on. We can't do any of that stuff. ECBST6 says, whoo, tons of bandages, tape, betadine for the basics, absolutely, and blood clotting combat bandages. I don't know. Can you tell me where you got that from? Right? Chest seals, whoo, and tourniquets. Need to get a whole case. You clearly have been in the military some kind of way, but folks don't realize that this is what's happening. There's David, baby.
When I
What
tell
happened?
you everything is down, electricity was down, internet was down, phone line, because you know I live in the sky, wasn't connecting. The elevator would not work.
They said not today, Satan.
Step by step by step by step by step. Finally, I'm down here. There's emergency generators in the bottom of the building, so I'm in our public space. Welcome to our library. Oh, good morning.
Good morning, my
But this
darling.
is a practice round because Iran has told us we're going to do energy shutdowns. Now, this is not an energy shutdown because the rest of the city looks like it's fine. But this is not fun, y'all.
Mm-mm.
Yes. Now, when
Mm-mm.
I crawled my behind 24 flights into the sky, I forgot what it was like to crawl back down 24 flights on one
Out of the
feet.
sky. Oh my gosh,
So,
David.
hello.
Good
Welcome to
morning,
Monday.
my darling. How are you? Thank you for
Well,
making
here
the
we are.
effort. You
Never,
look handsome as
they've,
usual. Look at your little cat.
they've never seen me in a hat, but y'all don't want to see me without a hat. Amen. I'm a little blind.
Amen. Oh, look at you though. You're still cute, honey. You are
Thank you.
still cute.
Thank you.
I have been talking about what's going on in Iran. I've been doing a real deep dive about it. You brought up a point that we still, I keep saying, we're so comfortable here, right? So comfortable. We're not accustomed to not having drinkable water. We're not accustomed to not having air we can't breathe. We're not accustomed to um, the idea that we don't have internet because we're so accustomed to always being at our fingertips talking to everybody about
That's right.
everything. From your vantage point, what have you learned about the Iran war? Because I talked a little bit about it this morning. That
So,
tells us that we should be frightened by what is upon us.
I mean, I think Americans don't tend to generally understand the typography of other people's lands or the general history behind things. So, Iran is one of the oldest countries to exist on the planet. I think in modern day terms, it is the oldest, right? It's still considered Persia, which is the name that was given to it after it had been Iran originally, right? This is a country which has never, and I want you to hear that word, never had a successful invasion in its entire history, which is thousands of years old. And there are many reasons for this. The first reason is the topography of the land of Iran. If you think of it as a bit of a square, if you will, it's not a square, but if you think of it as a square, on one side of the square is a range of mountains, which is like trying to cross the Andes. On the other side of it is another humongous range of mountains. Then on this sort of side is a huge desert, which gets up to 130, 140 degrees in the middle of the day. And then you have a teeny little piece at the bottom, which is the Strait of Hormuz. In order to get to Iran, which is centered in almost the center of all of that, in the basin of one of those mountains, you have to come by plane. There is no way to cross by mountain. There's no way to cross by desert. And the likelihood that you're going to get to the Strait of Hormuz is almost zero. So when we talk about the topography that has saved the people of Iran for many, 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 many generations, thousands of years, this is the first thing. The second is that the people of Iran have a grit and a resolve that says, we'd rather set ourselves on fire than let you take us over. When you have a people like that, and I want us to hear this, that politically there have been many people who've been upset, yes, about Iran's Ayatollah and the current state of government that is there. That is true. That many people in Iran are upset about that. However, we have to remember that before the Shah, there was a form of government that Americans didn't like, and that we couldn't get oil. And so we and British BP went in with the CIA and with other secret operatives and set about protests and fire and bombing to get them out. And we placed the Shah into power in Iran. Then, when we decided that we were upset with the Shah, we didn't like what he was doing, and the people were revolting, we set the revolt against the Shah to place this particular government and Ayatollah in. We funded that war, we funded the weapons X, Y, and Z. Now we have people who understand the level of um, quiet, secret operative that we are willing to do to get someone in and or out. And they have been preparing since they were installed to fight us today.
Mhm.
So they have the weapons capability. We spend roughly $1 million for every $50,000 bomb that they put up in the sky. Right. So it's costing us $1 billion. I want you to hear that, billion with a B, every day to fight
Yes.
this war in
Mhm.
Iran.
Not only that, David, there was a discussion all weekend long about the president sending in troops, and there's been an alarm set that says those troops are going to die. You can't just walk into Iran because of the topography and what is necessary there. And so they're like, but they know they can't win this war just from the air alone. So is pride going to allow families to lose their troops
When
and
it comes
still
to the
not
Trump
win and
administration,
still not win this war?
when it comes to the Trump administration, pride has allowed the loss of a lot of life. And I think we heard him clearly say there will be casualties. Right. That was one of his first statements about this war. Is there will be casualties. Um, let's lay this out on the political landscape. Why are we in Iran? We are in Iran because the Israeli government, we thought, held the most amount of evidence about the Epstein files because we know Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were both agents of Mossad. That is all laid out in the
Tell them what
files.
Mossad is, because that's another
Mossad,
thing people
yeah.
don't
So
understand.
when you think about Mossad, I want you to think about a CIA-like organization within Israel and who operates throughout international governments. They are thug-like in their operations, but I'm going to say that our CIA can be just the same. We can be just as devastatingly
Mhm.
thug-like. And this organization exists as a one of the military operations and organizations of infiltration within Israel. Okay. One of the agents of Mossad in the early years was Ghislaine Maxwell's father,
Mhm.
publicly so. We all know this to be public information. Another agent that we publicly understand as an agent of Mossad is Epstein. We also now, as of yesterday, have evidence that was put out that says that the United States government decided that Donald Trump was compromised by Israel and by Mossad. Okay, so that has come out in the Epstein files as of yesterday. We can look up that information. Fine.
Mhm.
When we consider what that means, and we understand now a little bit more about the control that this particular country has had over politics in America, right? You have APAC, which is a political organization of lobbying, which does not have to register as a lobbyist. It's the only lobbying organization which is not registered as a lobbying organization, which puts a lot of money behind things in order for it to go back to central bank. We are very concerned about the central banking because the central banking is a Rothschild-owned family. Rothschild, again, we explained to you many years ago, I guess a year ago at least, is the family which sent the boats that helped the people who were exiled from Europe to get to,
The
at
Middle
that
East.
time, Palestine, right,
Mhm.
and to settle Israel, right, and this is the family which created that. This group of Zionism has come out of this issue, and Mossad is heavily attached to that ideology, right? So when we think about the total play on the map here, these are the things we're dealing with. The countries surrounding Israel have always been upset about the creation of Israel,
Yes.
have always been upset, but have had deals with American presidents and the Western world for many years that were favorable enough that they didn't want to create weapon systems in this, that, and the other way. We had presidents who were willing to negotiate in good faith, who kept their ends of the bargains for the most part, and who recognized some of the stuff going on. So we always heard this two-state solution, right?
Mhm.
When this particular president came in and began to rip up his deals with his allies, things like removing the United States from the United Nations and all those sorts of things, we ended up with lots of other sort of problems. The United Nations has recently declared that Donald Trump has committed war crimes, right? This is a big thing for our allies to do. And those allies have also said, which they said early on, we will not fight this war on your behalf. So now it's just the United States good old boys are going to go out there to to fight this war with Israel. What I want us to remember is that it is the United States which is propping up the Israeli army and has been to the tune of billions of dollars per year. If you look at our congressional records, how much money we send, the missiles that we send, the weaponry that we send, the entire dome, right, is a creation of the American dollar and of your senators, your congressmen
But
signing
but
off
but
on
but
that.
so stop for a second. So that the average person can understand this, but why? Why has Israel been given so much money from the United States year after year
Originally,
after year?
originally, when we set up the state of Israel, and you have to remember, we talked about this, and one of the things I want to take you through really quickly is that when World War II was over, the Jewish people had been put out of Europe for
And
many
America.
countries. They got in
Mhm,
boats and were in Argentina, which shipped them
mhm,
up to the United States of America. United States of America said absolutely not.
no.
And
Mhm,
there was a 2-year embargo where we would not allow any Jews to come to the United States. And we shipped them back to the United Kingdom, where Lord Balthasar de Rothschild and the Rothschild family funded ships to take them down to Palestine, which was a peaceful place for them to go, and open arms welcome, because the Palestinians had always had Jewish people in that land. Okay. In that land of Palestine, the United Nations then created Resolution 181, which we've discussed before. 181 is the partition plan for Palestine. That is where the United States and Great Britain decide that they will remove the British mandate. Remember, the British have been illegally occupying Palestine. And the British said, we will friendly, we'll go away. But if we go away, you've taken these people as refugees. They said yes to that. They turned around, stabbed him in the back with America and said, we will approve the British mandate, but now this is a country. And the UN said, no, that's a war crime. We can't do that. And they said, yes, we can. And the United States president at the time recognized Palestine as a country. And then it forced the United Nations to recognize Palestine as a country. And we get the first two states.
mhm,
From that point on, we've got a pissed off Palestine and a pissed off Middle East, but they're contained in a small area the size of New Jersey.
mhm.
Now they begin to push their way through, and you get threat not going, beginning of wars. Now you have fighting going back and forth. And so the United States interest, remember, was first anti-Semitic interest. They did not want Jewish people in the United States of America. And so what they began to do was pay to have them go anywhere but the United States of
So
America.
that's how it started.
I want us to remember that it did not start out of love for the Jewish people and
Mhm,
for the idea of Zionism. It started out
mhm,
as a way to be Zionist, to be
mhm.
anti-Semitic, right? This is how these countries pushed these people out in a terrible, terrible hatred for the Jews, right? So that's how they ended up here. And then countries were willing to pay to keep them there so long as they did not come back.
So the people who did not belong anywhere, that was not wanted anywhere, that they had to fight to find their own piece of country, decided that they would never ever go back to the place where
I want to
they would.
correct. I want to correct that right there, because they did not decide. This is the part that we always forget. A small group of banking financiers who needed to control the Middle East created the idea of Zionism. It does not exist in the Torah. It is not in the Talmud. It is actually antithetic to the words which are spoken in both, right? Because what they say is that when the Messiah returns, where he shows up, you shall go to him and you shall worship. This process must be peaceful. And upon that place where you build the third temple, right? So the temple cannot be built in the place of the old temple. It must be a new Jerusalem. It's the idea of a new Jerusalem, this idea of going to Zion, this place which is promised. And even if we look at the land which is promised to Abraham and his descendants, that land is Iraq. Right, it's not Palestine. It's when you see the land that Abraham leaves and the land he goes to. He's gone to Iraq, and he says, "This land shall I give to you and your descendants until the end of time." Different
So
land.
so so the small group that created the Zionism
Yes.
have been the ones that have been leading.
Perpetrated, not just that, hired a Christian Baptist pastor from the South to rewrite the Bible, which then the Theodore Presser and, no, I'm sorry, not Theodore Presser, was another publishing group that was worldwide, began to publish these Bibles and put them into every church to get Christians to sign on to the idea of Zionism. You'll see these Bibles all over the place. They have these large descriptions, rewriting, reimagining what the scripture means for Christians all around the world. So Christian Zionism is a creation of this same period.
And so this group that's created this Christian Zionism, what was their ultimate goal? To
To
take
be able
over
to
the Middle
control the
East?
territory of the Middle East and to be able to, you remember, Africans were the only people rejecting the central banking. Every country in Africa that rejected the idea of the central bank was destroyed. Gaddafi, destroyed, right? Libya just would not. They wanted to create a coin that was going to be outside the central bank. As soon as Gaddafi was gone and they set up a new government, what do we have? Central bank.
Banking.
Persia refused the central bank. It was immediately, its leaders were replaced. When the Shah came in, all of a sudden he allowed central banking. Now they're saying with the Ayatollah, we don't want that. We want no parts of you. We won't just give you our oil. We control our things. Shut them down again. So this is about the control of money, the control of natural resources, oil and gold. These places have big deposits of both of those sorts of things. And it's about central banking, right? These people exist outside of what the Western culture says can control you, and therefore we take them down. That has been the history of America. And so this projected truth of great anti-Semitism in Western world after World War II fueled the perfect plan from the people who were controlling the central banks, which happened to be these very wealthy Jewish
So
families.
this all comes down to money?
It's been
But
about money.
you pulled a whole group of Jewish people in the middle of all of this.
If you look at Hitler's first two laws, they're very telling.
Okay.
And this is a person who was
Right.
horrific, right? Hitler was a horrific man. I don't want anyone to be confused and or say, oh my God, he wasn't. No, he's absolutely horrific. But when we look at that, when I go to briefings and I think about what is it that is true about this briefing, I have to cut off my ears to half of what I'm hearing because it's such crap. I had to choose my words. The truth is, where we exist and why we exist is very different from what we've been told. Every single book that we have in school is published by a group of people that are controlled by the same few families, right? So when we look at this, and we can do the reverse search today as you go through and say to your child, I want to see your textbook. I want you to look up who wrote the textbook, who publishes the textbook. I want you to see who owns the company who publishes the textbook.
Mhm.
Do the same for your maps, do the
How
same for your
much money
banks.
can they possibly make, though? It feels like they're doing all of this to control the world at large.
Well, when we talk about money, we're also talking about a circular coin system. So we believe money is about collecting what we have, but they know it's about what has been printed, what's actually backed. So you think that you have $20 because you earned it. You have $20 because it was printed and you were allowed to have it, to trade with it in order to trade it back to a system which has always held the asset. You've never actually held the asset, which is why I've always said to people, hold the asset, right? Why
Mhm.
do I say to you, hold jewels, hold gold, hold X, Y, and Z? Because those are the assets. Those are things which you can then control as a mini bank, if you will. Not
Mhm.
big enough to turn off the radar that makes other people angry because we have laws against that here in the United States. How
Mhm.
much gold can you collect, right?
Right.
But enough that you can secure yourself outside of the Ferris wheel called paper money. Now
So
we have no paper money. Think about it.
I
You
know it's
go
all
and you
right. That's
trade
about right.
electronic signals.
Bitcoins.
What does that
Yes.
really mean? Someone says to you, I'm gonna pay for my lunch in Bitcoin. You have no idea what a Bitcoin even looks like. I don't. We've never seen one. It doesn't
We've never seen
exist.
one. Mhm.
Doesn't exist. There's no such coin. It's a few numbers that are being traded on a calculator back and forth in a machine. Yet we bet our lives, pay our mortgages, put our people in the hospital, and pay for our medication with a few numbers, right? Digits that are representative, we think, we don't know, of nothing, quite frankly, because we're told that Bitcoin is backed by zero. So what does this mean, this hypothetical craziness, which is why when we're so cruel to our neighbors and say, no, I'm sorry, I can't help you, I can't help you with numbers, a few pieces of air that actually don't exist.
And this is why I love you so much. Because people still think that they're in control of something, anything, nothing. So this war on Iran, what is the end game here for the
if you talk
unsuspecting?
to if you talk to Zionists, they believe that it is imperative to start the war in order to usher back the Messiah. Right, that there would be a calling card to bring the Messiah back. That it would cause an end of times like situation that would require things to interrupt. There's been a lot of conversation about disclosure and extraterrestrial things in the country. We've got presidents, former, past, and present, who are talking about some things that were not talked about before. Now there's an agency to go to space and a SpaceX fleet, and now you've got the president of the United States releasing memos saying he's going to release documentation. Um, let's take this in two forms. If you are of a belief that extraterrestrial beings exist in the universe, then every religious story you've ever heard from any group of religion about the people who came from the sky down to the earth and went back and said, I'm going to return someday, has a root somewhere in this understanding. You can say, okay, well, something fell from the sky. If we are in that same vein of thought, the idea that these communications could be going on for quite a while, there might be whatever else, and that our behavior on the planet today with nuclear weapons might be destroying not just Earth, but maybe other systems in atmosphere. If we were to blow the world up, what would happen to surrounding planets? Right? That's that sort of like, I'm not well versed enough in any of that
Mhm.
conversation to have a deep dive into it. But what I can say
Mhm.
is that if you're religious, the idea that God was upset with angels and threw them down to the earth, and that these winged beasts would have been thrown to the earth, is canny and very similar to the same things that are discussed in the understanding of whatever. So, all of us at the end of the day have this idea that something from outside, something in the sky, something whatever, came down here and said, I'll be back.
Mhm.
That might help us explain the creation of the pyramids, because I'm still struggling with the little people with a cleft palate and two
And the
tools trying to
Incas
get
and
it.
the Aztecs and the pyramids, and that they just disappeared from civilization.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I submit to you that this is perhaps the sort of thing that might be ushered back
Mhm.
in the question minds of those who are it would require the help of our friends from the sky, whatever that means, religiously or otherwise. Right? Okay.
Mhm.
Um, there is the Epstein files, which have come out to a place which have now credibly shown that the president of the United States has had sexual relations with a 13-year-old and 12-year-old, perhaps killing another child who he may have spawned from one of these other relations. There's credible evidence, right, that he has also helped to shield and keep safe the people in orbits who have been a part of this predatorial behavior for a very long time.
And
There's
they're
lots of
from all
evidence.
walks of life and from
All
all,
walks of life.
yes.
That
Mhm.
explosive truth needed a distraction. And so on the day in which the Congress was supposed to release these files, and we have the audio tape, we don't need to speculate about this. He says, right, on an audio tape in the White House, which was released and verified that it was him, that they better stop this. They better not let any of this come out, because if he does, they'll take them. He'll take him down. He'll take
Shoot down
everyone
all of them
down.
down with
I'll
him.
take them all them down. I don't care what you have to do. Start a war if it means those files come out. They're not coming out. Right? His words: the Iran war was begun on the day that the files were supposed to drop. That
Did
is
he
not a
even
coincidence.
so in your estimation, that was a reckless move because Iran has never lost a war. So now he's bored with the war and wants it to end.
I
And
don't think board is the right answer. I think he's been told by all of his advisors and all the entire Joint Chiefs of Staff. I don't want to talk out of turn here, but I know this to be true. Have told him absolutely not. This is a suicide mission. You are going to lose. You're losing now. By the way, you're losing now. Just because they haven't released the video footage of what Tehran looks like, just because they haven't released the video footage of what Israel looks like, doesn't mean that it doesn't look exactly like Hazar currently. Right. Just because people aren't allowed to broadcast what's going on doesn't mean it isn't happening. You know, in Israel, when a journalist takes a photo or a video of what Israel looks like, they are arrested and put in jail, right?
hmm,
Because they don't want people to see. It is my belief, and I'll say that we don't have any images or any footage which has not been AI edited of Benjamin Netanyahu since the bombing. And
mhm,
Iran said that they believe that they destroyed the target.
mhm,
We have nothing. And every time they put up a video, it's just debunked within a day. This is AI again. This is whatever. Da 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 da. We don't have it, and I believe that he knows this, and I
yes.
believe that. And by the way, Israel has just put in a new acting prime minister.
Since when?
Saturday or Friday? Can you type that in? Who is the new acting prime minister of Israel?
Wait one damn minute. Hold on. That's telling as hell.
Well, for what do you need a new acting prime minister?
Uh, that's telling as hell.
What does it say? Acting prime minister of Israel, interim prime minister, acting prime minister, something.
Hold on. I got it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Avigdor Lieberman, The current acting prime minister of Israel is Avigdor Lieberman. He has been referred to as the acting prime minister in recent discussions, particularly following a meeting where he criticized the government. What?
Can you imagine the United States of America allowing someone else to be called the president of America for a while when we just hadn't been able to see the president of America? Also, can I remind you that these people have a faith that says that if you die, you need to be buried within 24 hours,
Oh, jeez.
48 hours if you can't get people around. I think 72 hours at the
But
longest,
but
something like
we're
that, right?
sitting here in these United States as if this is just it's over there,
Well, we're
and
not
everything is
shown. Many of the citizens of the United States are not shown things. Remember, they exist on, and part of AI, what is so genius about AI and AI warfare, is that you automatically believe that what you see is not real. We are conditioned to believe it's AI and therefore it's fake or it's false. We need to, this can't be right, right? So we don't know how to tell the difference between a picture and a not. We saw an image come out right here in Philadelphia of a protest. We had a fantastic protest of no kings or whatever in Philadelphia, but we saw an image of people, look like 1 million people surrounding Love Park. Now, I mean, put your hand in the air if you've been to Love Park. Tell me how it's possible to get that many
right,
people into Love
right.
Park.
Yeah, that
Right.
looks
Okay.
like AI to me too.
And so, but
Hmm.
this thing went around the world. Is that whatever? We don't know how to question and or ask questions about what we are seeing. Therefore, we believe whatever it is that we see, or we disbelieve whatever it is that we see, but we cause doubt on both sides of the coin. American news isn't showing what it looks like, and it's barely talking about the war, other
Hmm.
than to say, if a troop died, and we have verified fact because they came home in a casket that was draped with a flag, we might show that. We might show what Congress is saying about certain things, but
Okay,
most
all
major
right.
news
So,
networks are not
so
saying that.
listen to this. Did Israel just appoint Newsweek? Did Israel just appoint an interim prime minister? It says the claim stemmed from a Facebook post from an account called Headlines 360. In a major political shift, Yariv Levin has been appointed as the interim prime minister of Israel, taking over the leadership role of Benjamin Netanyahu. This transition comes as a critical time for the nation as it navigates complex regional security challenges. Blah 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 blah. The post only appears on the Headline 360 Facebook page. It did garner significant attention as it was shared nearly 8,000 times and received more than 11,000 comments
And
by
he's
West
an
African
agent of
users.
Mossad and in the government there.
However, there has been no official reports of announcement that Netanyahu has stepped down as prime minister or that Levin has been named his replacement. Damn.
Except for the fact that that Facebook page that put it out is an Israeli government Facebook page. It is
And
controlled by the
those
Israeli
bodies
government.
everywhere. They're everywhere. Iran targeted hotels that they knew Mossad agents were staying. They had to quickly get up out of there,
In
right?
many countries, including,
Amen. In fact, was it Don Lemon or Anna Amanpour who said this weekend that there were Israeli agents in the White House pushing them around, telling them what to do? It's so much. There's so much happening at one time, David.
I
What
don't
is it?
believe I don't believe Israel will survive this war. I also believe that it will be a catastrophe for American um, politics, for American governance, for American operations, because we will have showed our allies that we don't care. We will have showed our allies that we are not there to support them, um, that we were more faithful to Israel than we were to any other nation in our alliances, that we tore up war treaties. It will show that we cannot operate even functionally within our own body, that we ignored Congress. We went around it. We just went and thug like went and bombed another country that we did because we said something like we didn't like its ruler. Well, that's not a reason to go to war. You don't have to like someone's ruler. You don't have to like the way they govern themselves. Sovereign nation still exists. The right to sovereign nation still exists. So when we talk about all of that, I mean, even with this last bit of it, yeah. So this is where it comes from. But when we actually go and roll back, we see that. This is also where the AI video came from that eventually Israel did say was real, right? We also recognize that this account was set up and is operated from Israel. So when we look at all of these sorts of things and put the puzzle pieces together, it's like, and this is the other thing that I love about AI. We have to remember who just bought up AI. AI has been largely bought up by the families that we spoke about at the top of this.
Yes.
right? Who are all citizens. I want you to look up all of the people that we've talked about. See if they have dual citizenship with Israel. Ask how many people who have bought up, run parts of this government, nation, and or country have dual citizenship with Israel. Ask them how many of them have money that's gone to APAC or been received money from APAC.
In the middle of all of this, as they are, because there's been allegations of insider trading, that the
Mm,
president would say something, the stock market would go up, and then something would happen, and the stock market would go down. The stock
right.
market lost $4.8 trillion in 32 days. What does this mean? Because I keep coming back to this, as
That's
they
not
are
unusual. Yeah.
monopoly with people's lives all around the world. What does that mean for the average American citizen? I still keep hearing Tesla dude. What's his name?
Oh, yeah. Uh,
Yes. What is
Elon,
his name?
Elon
Elon
Musk.
Musk. I keep hearing Elon Musk say in November of 2024, America is not ready for the suffering that is coming upon them. That just keeps sticking in my head over and over again. What does this mean for us?
Being just screwed. I mean, in short terms. But now this is the part where, without saying all the rest of these sorts of things, we said a lot. So it is where I believe local politics can do more to prepare its people. We are
Mhm.
preparing for a 250th anniversary in the birthplace of this nation. And there is not an emergency booklet and or plan which has been put into people's mailboxes and passed out that says, in event of war like World War I or World War II or like we're in right now, here are some things that you should know about basic survival mode. That does not cause mass panic, but it is irritably irresponsible,
It is.
uncanny that we have not, as a government, said to the people of Philadelphia, I don't care what else you say, but said to people of Philadelphia, in this place, we've now invited the entire world to come here and look at the Liberty Bell, that this is a target. It is a prime target. It is the place in which the Declaration of Independence was signed. It is the birthplace of the nation. And for many countries who are very upset with us, it could be the place that we don't want to see continue forward. So the citizens of America have the right to be informed, and the people of Philadelphia. This is where some other sorts of things can be done. I am not the person who pushes the agenda of the political. Well, I should stop saying that. I am not the person who makes the decision and writes the note.
Mhm.
And as much as I can push and prod for common sense things to happen in this city from the Pyrrhus's box, as I say proverbially, um, there is little that I can force in that way. So I'm always baffled that while there are conversations and meetings in private, there has been no direction given to the people, knowing that we are actively in war.
Hey.
Not it's coming, it's here. It's where like it's already happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
What to do
And
if?
Iran says we look forward to this. When they're talking about
Oh,
sending
we
troops
have
to
been
Israel,
preparing for
they are
30 years, they
ready,
say. Been
right?
preparing since the end of
47 years ago.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And
So
there has to be a way to prepare people without frightening them to the place where just be aware. Be
people will
even
be
more
frightened
aware of what's
slightly. People will be frightened slightly. That's okay. When they wake up the next day or the week after and they're still okay, they'll still have the pamphlet with some knowledge and they'll be frightened. People were frightened when we told them that they needed to be able to be prepared with iodine pills. I don't know how much that science is still held up, but they were slightly frightened then. But it was important that they knew that.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if Pearl Harbor happened today,
Mm-hmm.
but it
Yeah.
happened at the Liberty Bell,
Yeah.
right? What we know about Mossad and the CIA and Israel is that they were willing to blow up buildings that they bought and insured in order for the United States to go to war against a country that had nothing to do with the blowing up those buildings. We know that now because we have that paperwork, we have the evidence, we
Yeah, that
see the
paperwork
dancing
came out
Israelis.
recently that the buildings that were blown up in 9/11 were bought by uh,
A
Jewish men,
man, yeah, who was a part of APAC and heavily
mm,
part of Mossad,
and got
and
so
that
many millions of dollars
the
in.
first video broadcast was of the dancing Israelis, which a woman reported and recorded and sent to the news. It was on the news for 24 hours and then torn down, right? that the black boxes from the planes, the voices in the black boxes are Israeli and were identified as Israeli on the day. People said those that is a clearly Israeli voices, right? And then all that disappeared until recently when it's been back. Like now we can go and see this again. We can go and hear this again because those release of informations came up. But we blew up two of our own buildings to go to war with somebody else. We had report after report after report in the World Trade Center of people who were working there who said the window washers aren't washing windows. What's going on? And we have people running out of the basement of that building who are saying the basement, the garage is blowing up. Why would the garage be blowing up if the plane
If
hit
the
the top of
plane
the
hit up
building?
there. Yes.
Then we have forensic scientists who say it's absolutely impossible for a plane, number one, with a nose that when a bird hits the nose of a plane, it is dented, right? And it's often causes a big issue that the plane has to land. How did the plane go through the building and come out the other side in one piece? Right? We see the video. The plane goes through the building and comes out the other side. The nose of of the plane is coming out the other side of the building. That's not physically possible. Also, if something hits the top of a building still plane, heat rises. We all went to basic classes, right? Heat doesn't go down.
Hmm.
How do you get an implosion? No, what you get is either a leaning of the building to one side or the other, in which it would cause catastrophic damage across the city of New York, right? Or you might get a fire that starts at the top, but the people who are on floors 50 or down certainly wouldn't have a heat wave. It would
Yeah.
barely be warm because
Yeah.
heat rises. And the amount of fuel in a plane doesn't take down two different buildings. So you have all of
Mhm.
this problem that's going on, right?
Mhm.
Those things have been released in Freedom of Information Acts. These things are not news to people today. This has been said.
It's been there, but people are not reading, and they know a lot of people are not reading about this stuff. David, whew, baby.
So that's probably why my internet is off. Whole system upstairs and half the building is gone. Um,
It's a
because
lot
this
going on out here. A lot
information
going
is
on out
perfect.
here. And
Indeed.
it's so interesting because we've been so conditioned to believe this and not that, believe that and that, all sorts of things going on. Um, it's just, whew, whew.
So I
Okay.
say to people today, do your grocery shopping like you're going to Costco. Right? Do your big bag shopping. Do that stuff now because those prices are going to go through the roof. If you're going to
Amen.
go somewhere, you plan to take it this any other, make sure you purchase it today.
Mhm.
Right? Anything that you need oil to get your car in. There is nothing stopping you from going to the gas station with your big gallon things and filling up those gallons, taking them home and sticking them in your garage
Mhm.
in a metal box or whatever it is that's going to protect them from fire. Right?
Mhm.
Those are things you should be siphoning off that now. You know the prices are going to go through the roof. So
Mhm.
get your oil now so that you have emergency oil in your home. Right?
Yeah.
You know the price of X, Y, and Z are going to go through the roof. So go get your bacon, go get your eggs, go get your whatever
Mhm.
else, put them in your grocery store so that you can survive along, get cans of soup and all that kind of stuff we've talked about. Not because
We've been talking about
Armageddon,
it forever.
right? And so you know this. You have the plan. We've talked about it before. What do you do? Right. But um
Now things are so expensive. In 2024, when we were telling them start shopping now, it would have been much easier. They can get three times back then
well,
what
you
they can
tried
get
to
now.
get them to grow a whole garden 2 years
I
ago.
did.
They wasn't
I
interested.
did.
Ja- She said, "Get these trash cans." And well, they wasn't doing none of that, and here they are starving. So, I it is what it is. We've said what we said. Currently, I'm on a mission to make sure the little guy doesn't get messed up. Right, the
Mhm.
one who didn't have the ability to get a garden.
Yeah.
But everybody else, lifeboats.
Yeah.
And if somebody is asking to get in your lifeboat who's helped to put the hole in the ship, tell them no.
Don't know. Yeah. That's I keep saying.
Tell them
Know
no.
who your tribe is. Don't be just go, oh my God, I feel so. That person who worked actively to keep this thing from going properly will come in your house and actively destroy you to get what
Actively.
you have in there because you prepared. So no, not everybody's allowed in
No,
your
thank you.
house
No, no,
at
thank you.
all. How do we end this day on a more beautiful note, my darling? It's going to be 64 degrees today.
It's Monday. Well, there you
It's
are.
Monday.
It's 64 degrees today. I'm actually I need to figure out how to get life rolling because I need to go to City Hall and have a roundtable discussion with our most fabulous mayor and with Dr. RG. Who will be there for that today. Are you coming to
Yeah,
that?
she invited me, but what time is that?
It's 4 o'clock,
Wow.
I think, 3, 4, something like that.
Because she did. She sent me a text message. I have something else going on in town. Find out what time it is. Because if the thing I have
Yes.
going on in town ends before that thing,
You
then I'll
probably
join you there.
great.
All right.
It's always lovely to see you,
Yes, sir.
and hopefully I'll have electricity and all those other sorts of things. So keep
Shut
that
down the
coming.
whole building and shut you up.
Yeah, but I'm shut up. They tried it. You see, I had to crawl down into the room. They said, "Don't get him to talking today." Oh no.
David, my brother, thank you so much. This was great. I knew we were going. I knew you did not fall asleep. I knew you didn't fall asleep. I was like, David has got something is going on out here.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, my brother. So hopefully I'll see you later on today. This
Yeah.
episode of Mornings with Mother is officially over. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Bye, darling.